So I'm guessing you're here because you recently picked up and started playing Zen. Maybe it's because you like his bald head, his cool orbs, or maybe just his chill personality. Regardless, I'm pretty sure you're tired of being constantly farmed by Genjis and Tracers, while at the same time being flamed by your teammates for not having enough healing. Yeah, we've all been there. Well, today that ends, as I'll be giving you 5 core concepts that will drastically improve your Zen play so you can get out of gold this season. Now, these concepts aren't anything too crazy. They won't help you hit every shot like Jonak or get crazy pentakills every team fight. But what they will do is get you wins. So if that's what you're looking for, listen up. The first of these concepts is what I believe to be the most crucial one to up your Zen play. It's positioning. Zenyatta is what you could call a glass cannon. He has very high damage potential, but he's very fragile and susceptible to flankers. To position optimally on Zen, you want to be in the backline behind your tanks of course, and depending on your DPS, you may want to be behind them as well or playing very closely alongside them. What's important is to make sure you always set yourself up in a place where you can have a good view of where the team fight is happening, while at the same time keeping yourself safe. This is why Zen excels on maps like King's Row or Rialto. You can get a great view of all the objective points, while at the same time playing far back where you can be constantly outputting damage and making use of your orbs. If you're scared of their flankers like Genji and Tracer, don't play too far back, as your isolation will make you a prime target. You want to be staying close to teammates who can quickly protect you in a moment's notice, like a Zarya with her bubbles or a McCree with his flashbang. For the most part, you're going to want to be playing safe in the back with a good view of the team fight or objective, pumping out as much damage as possible, because remember, as Zen, your orbs don't have any fall off damage at range. Now the next concept is where I see most Zenyatas tend to become lazy and forget it all entirely. It's orb management. As Zen, you want to be constantly juggling both your Harmony and Discord orbs between targets. What most Zens in lower ranks will do is just put a Harmony orb on their Reinhardt at the start of fights and leave it there the whole time. This is very inefficient. Unlike someone else who has orbs, you need to be constantly thinking about the placement of your Harmony orbs. For the most part, it's best to leave your main healer to keep up your tanks anyways, as they'll be taking up the most damage and 30 heals per second isn't very much. Your Harmony orbs are much better used on your DPS, as they'll be able to heal up to full much faster and are often going off on their own taking angles, which makes good use of your orbs range. If you're gonna throw it on anyone in AFK, make sure it's your main healer who's the one. Keeping them up is often the best thing you can do for the team in a lot of situations, as their healing output is what's really gonna keep the team alive. Now as for your Discord, you're gonna want to be constantly trying to get this on the primary focus fire of your team. This is often the main tank of the enemy team, so discording the enemy Ryan, Orisa, or Winston is always a good idea. If no one on your team is calling a target, you be the shot caller. Discord someone you want to see die and make sure your team knows about it. The next concept is ult usage. Zenyatta's ult is pretty simple. Press Q and your teammates in range all receive 300 heals per second. Much like Lucio's beat, you want to be using this to counter powerful ults from the enemy team. Things like Graviton Surge, Dragon Blade, Dragon Strike, and if you're fast enough, even Earth Shatter are all hard countered by Transcendence. You need to make sure that you're properly ult tracking so you can pop your trance at the perfect time and hard tilt that Genji who's only at that rank by being nano boosted every fight. Look at who's doing a lot of damage, who's getting the most picks by the enemy team, as they'll be building their ult charge faster, and you need to anticipate this. If you know that the enemy has a nano blade, be sure to let your team know that they need to keep you alive through the team fight so that you'll be there to use trance when they need it. The fourth concept is learning your projectiles. The thing about projectile heroes in Overwatch is that they're all very different and very specific. You're gonna need to learn the speed and time between shots of Zen's primary fire to make the best use out of it. Along with this, you need to be predicting the enemy's movement accurately to properly place your shots. This takes a lot of time to master, but is an essential part of Zen to fully maximize his kit. Just take a look at some highlights from the flex support Jonak of the New York Excelsior. Watch how he accurately predicts where the enemy is going, then perfectly places his shots.
Gates looming, lines zooming, moving while that bass booming. Fear be the nuisance that's choking me more than nooses. Losing sense of direction, the way you're losing depression. Drank a little more and maybe maybe even gave me some blessings, some shit.
World is going hazy and I'm losing my mind. I'm the only one sticking by my side. Things are going crazy and shit ain't right. Baby, I'm out, I'd die. By my side. By my side.
Like I said, this one comes with time. Unlike some other heroes who also need to aim. Yeah, right. And don't forget, there are always workshop maps that can help you to practice this. Alright, now the final concept is often where I see a lot of confusion. It's about knowing when to use your primary versus your alternate fire. Basically, your right click and your left click. What's important to know is that Zen's primary fire does about 2 times as much damage per 10 minutes as compared to what your charged volleys do. So when do you want to be using your volleys? I found that it's best utilized when your team is not actively engaging in a fight. You want to be charging up your right click every time you peek a corner, anticipating someone to beat her. But as soon as that fight breaks out, you want to be using your primary fire to do as much damage as possible and build your ult quickly. A good thing to note is that when you're charging up a right click, you can't swap the targets of your Harmony or Discord orbs. So like I said, feel free to use your right click whenever your team is not actively fighting, but swap to your primary fire as the fight breaks out. And quick tip 2, you only need a single ammo left to charge up a full 5 ammo volley. Alrighty guys, those are my 5 core concepts to become a better Zen player this season. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, and be sure to subscribe for more Overwatch guides just like this one. And if all this orb talk is just way too confusing, then just give in and become a Moira main.